Do you truly believe it's too late to change your life after 40? What if I told you your current reality is merely an invisible program written by others, and that by rewriting this code now, you could double your results, your income, and your happiness in months, not years? Sound impossible? That's precisely why it works. From a young age, we were subtly shaped. Every word we heard, every parental gesture, every silent glance carried energy and messages that seeped into our subconscious minds like an invisible program. This program not only influenced our choices, but dictated our beliefs about who we are and what we deserve. We often think we're in control, but in reality, we're following a mental script we didn't write. This script dictates our earnings, the quality of our relationships, our health, and even the opportunities we perceive. It's like autopilot operating in the shadows, dictating behaviors, emotions, and outcomes without our awareness. How many times have you promised yourself to change habits, make different decisions, start a new business, improve your relationship with money, only to fall back into old patterns? This isn't a lack of discipline or bad luck. It's simply the program in action, defending the identity it believes you to be. I experienced this firsthand. At 26, I lacked formal education, prospects, and confidence. I worked random jobs and saw no way out. Then, a mentor showed me something I'd never heard before. My life was merely a reflection of outdated mental programming. This idea profoundly shocked me, but it was also a turning point. From then on, I understood I didn't need to change the outside world. I needed to rewrite the code within. In less than a year, I went from debt and frustration to over $100,000 in income, something I considered impossible for someone in my situation. What changed wasn't my external circumstances, it was my internal programming. Imagine your mind as fertile ground. Everything planted there, beliefs about money, aging, relationships, continues to grow like silent seeds. After 40, many believe it's too late to change, but it's actually when the soil is most mature for new seeds. The adult brain is plastic. Neuroscience shows we can create new neural connections at any age. If for decades you've nurtured thoughts like, "This isn't for me," "I'm not capable," or "It's too late," that's precisely where the opportunity lies. Ask yourself, who wrote your code? Who said you can only go so far? Who defined the limit of what you deserve? By recognizing the invisible program driving your choices, you claim the key to your own system. It doesn't matter if you've never studied this or how many mistakes you've made. This program can be rewritten. But it takes courage to look inward and admit it's not a lack of luck, but a lack of alignment with a new identity. This realization hurts initially because it shatters old justifications, but it also liberates by restoring power. And when you assume that power, seemingly miraculous things begin to happen. We attract new opportunities, build healthier relationships, and increase our income, not through magic, but because our minds operate at a different level. What are the common fears, and how do we disarm them, step by step? First, I'm afraid of failing and losing what little I have. Practical response: turn fear into experimentation. Instead of betting everything, define micro-experiments, low-stakes tests that allow you to learn without breaking. Second fear: I don't have time. The real answer: you have 5 minutes each morning to reprogram your mind. Start with 2 minutes of mindful breathing, 1 minute of free writing about what you want, and 2 minutes of reading a direct affirmation aloud. Third fear: I'm not worthy. The shadow of this fear is self-image, and self-image dictates your financial thermostat. Adjust the thermostat with concrete, measurable actions. Write a daily scene where you already live what you desire. Note the specific behavior someone in that scene would take today and execute a small version of it. Now, the practical exercise I've tested and taught for decades. For 7 days, record your thoughts. Whenever a negative thought about money, age, or capability arises, stop and write it down. Then write the contrary evidence. real facts that show the opposite, and replace it with a short, positive affirmation, e.g., I am capable of creating new income streams, instead of, I never get anywhere. This simple observation habit slows down automatic repetition and begins to weaken the pattern. By the end of the week, you'll have a map of the thoughts governing your behavior, and the map is the first step to changing the route. This isn't abstract theory. It has practical applications that anyone over 40 can use tomorrow. If you want to increase your income, don't start with a grandiose plan. Start by listing 3 pragmatic ways to earn extra income: freelancing, consulting, digital product. Choose one. Define 3 micro-tasks: contacting 5 former colleagues, creating a simple page, studying a skill for 20 minutes, and execute them 1 per day. These micro-actions repeated change your reputation, your network, and therefore the frequency you emit to the market. Remember, we attract what's in harmony with us. Change your rhythm, and you change what arrives. There's also evidence that how you perceive yourself directly influences your economic results. Research on self-assessment and performance shows that traits like self-esteem, self-efficacy, and locus of control correlate with job success and earnings over time. It's not determinism, but a practical clue. Working on your self-image yields concrete returns in your professional life. Therefore, psychological adjustments aren't soft. They're investments with measurable impact. To make this tangible, here's a public example illustrating the power of internal image. Jim Carrey wrote himself a check, dated years in the future, for the amount he wished to earn. He kept that symbol every day until his career exploded. It's not mathematical proof, but a powerful example of how collective mind and symbolic action can align opportunity and intention. When you internalize a different self-image, the world tends to respond to that new frequency. I always recommend a 3-pronged plan. 1. Awareness. You record thoughts for 7 days. 2. Rewriting. You create an identity statement, 5 short sentences written by hand every day. 3. Calibrated. Action. 3 daily microtasks linked to the new identity for 30 days. Neuroscience and psychology show that deliberate repetition and stable context are what create new neural pathways and transform habits into automatic behavior. Change the input, your thoughts, and the output, your life, changes over time. Don't misunderstand me. I don't promise a magic pass. What I promise is a proven path, not by luck, but by law. The law of repetition, the law of intention aligned with action, and the law that self-image regulates the thermostat of your existence. If you accept the experiment, commit to the next 30 days. Write the scene of your ideal life every day, execute 3 micro-tasks that support that scene, and record the thoughts that insist on sabotaging you. You'll be surprised how quickly your reality begins to respond, first subtly, then consistently. Ultimately, the power of the paradigm isn't an immutable enemy. It's the key. When you learn to read the code that governs your choices and apply small, intelligent, repeated changes, you cease being a victim of your past and begin to direct your life with intention. This distinguishes those who complain about life from those who live the life they chose, and it starts today with awareness, repetition, and action. Remember the hourglass I always show. The sand at the bottom is the past, the sand at the top is the future, and you don't know how much is at the top. When I mentioned this, I told of my grandmother, who thought she had little time and lived to 94, and of my friend Bob Yates, whose life was extinguished in a second at 16. The message is raw and simple. The only time that truly exists is this moment, here, now. This perception changes everything because it destroys 2 powerful excuses. I'll wait until I'm ready, and I'll start when I have more time. Both assume a guaranteed future that no one promised us. Instead, I want you to start acting from the present as if you were already living the life you desire. And I'll show you exactly how to do it without drama, step by step. First practical exercise, the hourglass ritual, 2 to 5 minutes a day. Close your eyes for 60 seconds and feel your breath. Then imagine the hourglass in front of you. See the accumulated sand of the past at the bottom. Acknowledge without judgment what was lost. Now imagine the sand at the top shining. Ask yourself, if I had only one more day, what would be the one thing I would do today to make that day worthwhile? Write down a concrete action, not an abstract idea, and execute it in the next 60 minutes. Repeating this daily begins to shift your attention from when to what now. Second, transform fear into experimentation. When the fear of making mistakes appears, whether about money, investment, or career change, don't let it paralyze you. Break down your actions into low-risk micro-experiments. Test for a week with measurable goals and clear loss limits. This technique reduces the likelihood of catastrophe and, psychologically, transforms anxiety into curiosity. Evidence shows that financial worry significantly increases mental distress. Tackling problems in controlled steps lessens this impact and improves decision-making. Second, anchoring presence for financial decisions. Whenever a what-if thought pulls you into a worrisome future, use a simple anchor. Stop, take 3 deep breaths, name 3 things you see in your environment, and return to the concrete task that moves you closest to your goal for today. Research on mindfulness-based interventions shows stress reduction and improved emotional regulation, meaning presence enhances your clarity to make better decisions about money and priorities. Third, rewrite your morning ritual. In the first 5 minutes after waking up, eliminate screens. Use this time to handwrite a single line. Today I do X, where X is the action most aligned with your ideal life. Then, spend 60 seconds vividly visualizing the sensory details of having completed X. What you see, feel, who is around you. The difference between vague intention and sensorily described intention is enormous. This practice creates a neural impulse that favors immediate execution. Fourth, a practical rule of healthy urgency. The 10-10-10 rule. When a small opportunity arises, a contact, an offer, an invitation, ask yourself, if I act on this, in 10 minutes, what happens? In 10 months? In 10 years? This simple perspective cuts short-term indecision and forces you to prioritize what aligns with your desired future, without paralyzing you with fear. Fifth, work with measurement and emotion. For 7 days, note how many times you were dominated by thoughts of the past or future, and how many times you acted present and purposefully. This isn't self-judgment, it's data collection. Personal statistics clarify patterns and help you decide which habits to break. Use this map to choose a simple behavioral change you maintain for 30 days. Consistency surpasses sporadic enthusiasm. Sixth, the relationship between presence and wealth isn't mystical. Money buys life satisfaction to a certain point, but it doesn't solve chronic anxiety, which is why focusing on the present matters more than always seeking more as a solution. Robust studies show that income improves life evaluation, but emotional well-being plateaus above a certain level. Training your mind to be present reduces suffering and improves the quality of your decisions. Use this to your advantage. Instead of chasing income indefinitely, align daily actions that increase your immediate security and satisfaction. The challenge I propose, if you accept, is straightforward and brief. For 14 days, do the hourglass ritual every morning. Perform at least one micro-action aligned with your priority of the day within the next 60 minutes, and record at night how this affected your anxiety and progress. At the end of the 14 days, compare. Your choices will be clearer, your energy more focused, and you will have created concrete evidence of progress. The perfect antidote to "I don't have time" and "I don't know where to start." It's not pretty philosophy, it's proven practice. When you stop waiting for the ideal moment and use the present moment as the only available laboratory, your decisions cease to be reactions to circumstances and become actions that create circumstances. This transforms fear into movement, regret into learning, and inertia into accomplishment. The hourglass keeps running. The question is, will you spend your next grain of sand looking back, imagining the future, or will you use it to start writing now, the life you deserve? Money isn't just the fruit of labor. Money is a frequency, a combination of identity, mental vibration, habits, value delivered, and how you position yourself in the world. When I say frequency, I'm not talking about baseless mysticism. I'm talking about a set of concrete signals you emit, your beliefs, your confidence, your repeated actions, your reputation, that attract responses from the market. Ask yourself, who do you sound like to the world? Do you sound like someone who deserves clients, contracts, partnerships, and larger payments? Or do you sound like someone who accepts scraps and apologizes for charging? I know this touches on real fears. What if I lose what I have trying something new? What if I don't know how to use technology? What if it's too late to learn? These objections aren't moral failings. They're reflexes of the old program. There are practical ways to disarm each of them, and I teach this by making small, testable, measurable plans. Instead of making dramatic decisions, transform fear into an experiment. Limit the loss, measure results, learn, and adjust. This is how you change your frequency without breaking everything you've built. I want to tell you something that happened to me that illustrates the difference between brute force and aligned frequency. During a period of rapid success, I had so much external confidence that I started throwing money around like it was paper, on trips, parties, gifts. On a trip to England, I found myself doing just that, spending for the sake of spending, without purpose. One day I woke up with a strange feeling, shame and emptiness, and realized I had confused flow with value. I could attract money, but I wasn't managing it responsibly or generating lasting value. This experience taught me a harsh lesson. Existing at a high frequency isn't about showing off. It's about operating with identity and principles that sustain wealth. This turning point made me reassess how I offered value, how I priced my services, and how I built long-term relationships. The emotion there was embarrassing at first, a mix of regret and determination. And it was this discomfort that made me truly change my behavior. From a practical standpoint, frequency translates into concrete actions that anyone over 40 can start applying right now. First, adjust your internal language. Replace "I can't" with a specific phrase that describes behavior. For example, "Today I do X to increase my income." Second, list 3 real ways to offer value tomorrow. Short consultation, mini service, simple product, and perform a micro task that takes 60 minutes to bring you closer to that sale. Third, test pricing. Increase your prices by 10 to 20% for a limited time and observe the response. Often we are the ones who undervalue our work, not the market that rejects it. Fourth, network. For 7 days, make valuable contact with 5 people in your circle. Don't ask, just offer something useful. This changes your network, and with it, the frequency of what comes in. There's scientific backing for the processes I teach. The adult brain retains the ability to change, the plasticity that allows you to reconfigure habits and beliefs, and this capacity persists throughout life, meaning you can train your mind even after 40. Habit formation occurs through intelligent repetition. Studies that followed people in their daily lives showed that the path to automating a new behavior takes weeks to months, averaging about 66 days for the new action to become automatic. Therefore, repetition with intention is crucial. In addition, research on self-efficacy and work performance shows a real correlation between believing you can act and concrete performance results, meaning working on your confidence isn't cheap psychology. It's intervention with measurable returns in the world of earnings and opportunities. Mental practice and visualization also have a proven effect on performance. Athletes and professionals use mental rehearsal to improve execution before acting. It's not mysticism, it's cognitive training that facilitates effective action. And regarding expectations about money and happiness, the research is complex. Classic studies suggested a saturation point for emotional well-being and income, around $75,000 a year. But later analyses and broader data show that increased well-being continues at higher income levels, signaling that money helps, but it's not everything. Internal alignment and the quality of choices matter as much as the number in your account. So how do you combine this science with practice? Here are specific exercises I use with people who want to transform money into real flow, not just effort. 1. A 3-minute morning ritual. I write a sentence of identity, visualize a small sale completed, and note the micro-action of the day. 2. A value map. List all the services, skills you have and assign each one a test price and a simple promotion action, e.g., posting an offer in groups, contacting 5 former colleagues. 3. A pricing experiment. For 7 days, offer a premium version with a limited number of slots and record responses. 4. A proof bank, everyday record. Small evidence, a thank you message, a sale, feedback that shows the new frequency is working. 5. Strategic giving, give something of value, time, content, small consultation, to 3 people without asking for anything. It's one of the fastest shortcuts to change your reputation and, with it, the frequency the market perceives in you. I also want you to see the other side. Giant companies fall when they refuse to change paradigms, not for lack of technology, but for lack of frequency and mindset change. The story of Kodak is a classic example. They had the technology and still lost the game because they didn't reconfigure their model and identity in the face of new reality. It's not just about technical innovation, it's about changing how you think and operate. This is the harsh lesson for those who think that isolated effort solves everything. Practical challenge. Do this now, for 30 days. 1. Each morning, write one financial identity statement, e.g., I am someone who values and is valued for X. 2. Complete one income-generating micro-task, 60 minutes. Result? You'll have 7 micro-tasks done by the end of the week. 3. Record daily proof in your evidence bank. 4. On day 15, conduct a pricing experiment on an offer. 5. After 30 days, review the evidence and adjust pricing, value, positioning based on feedback. Track 3 simple metrics: number of valuable interactions, contacts, number of micro-tasks completed, and revenue generated, even if small. It's this conscious habit, not blind effort, that changes your money frequency. Remember, you can work hard, have skills, take courses, try everything, and still be poor if your frequency is misaligned. Conversely, when your identity, your repeated small actions, and your value proposition are in harmony, the flow appears and stays. The mission is clear. Stop confusing effort with alignment. Adjust your frequency with simple, measurable, and repeatable practices, and let the market begin to respond differently. What I want you to take away is simple, yet powerful. It all starts within you. Your programming, your frequency, your self-image, all of this is the thermostat that determines your living standard. When you change this code, everything else begins to reorganize in your favor. It doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, or 60 years old. It's always possible to rewrite the story, and you already possess the tools within yourself to do so. Continue on this journey with me, because in the next video appearing on the screen, you'll climb another step in your wisdom evolution and become 1% better than you are now. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.